Why do so many of us find ourselves saying yes when we want to say no? Why do we go out of our way to avoid disappointing others, even at the expense of our own well-being? The compulsion to please others, often labeled as the people-pleaser syndrome, is a complex psychological phenomenon rooted in our upbringing, societal expectations, and the very architecture of the human mind. Understanding this urge requires us to peel back the layers of our motivations, our fears, and the stories we've been told since childhood. At its core, people-pleasing is about seeking acceptance and avoiding rejection. Human beings are inherently social creatures. From our earliest ancestors, survival depended on our ability to belong to a group. Being cast out of the tribe wasn't just emotionally painful, it could be fatal. Over millennia, evolution has shaped our brains to prize social inclusion. This is why, even today, the thought of upsetting someone or being disliked can trigger a deep, visceral anxiety. Our nervous system is hardwired to interpret social rejection as a threat, prompting us to take steps, sometimes extreme ones, to ensure we remain accepted by those around us. But people-pleasing goes beyond simple sociability. It's a pattern of behavior characterized by prioritizing others' needs, wants, or expectations above our own. This can manifest in countless ways: agreeing to tasks we don't want to do, avoiding conflict at any cost, or constantly seeking reassurance and validation. People-pleasers often struggle to assert boundaries, fearing that doing so will lead to disapproval or abandonment. The roots of this syndrome often stretch back to childhood. Many people-pleasers grew up in environments where love and approval were conditional, given when they behaved well, withheld when they didn't. Perhaps a parent was particularly critical, or a caregiver's affection depended on compliance and obedience. In such situations, children learn a powerful lesson. To be accepted, they must suppress their own needs and focus on meeting the expectations of others. Over time, this adaptive strategy becomes ingrained, shaping their self-concept and approach to relationships well into adulthood. Another factor is the role of modeling. Children watch and learn from the adults around them. If a child observes a parent constantly sacrificing their own desires to keep the peace or appease others, they may internalize the belief that self-sacrifice is virtuous or even necessary for love. Cultural influences also play a role. In many societies, selflessness is idealized, while assertiveness may be misinterpreted as selfishness or aggression. This is especially true for women, who are often socialized to be nurturing, accommodating, and agreeable from a young age. Beneath the surface, the people-pleaser syndrome is propelled by a number of psychological mechanisms. One of the most significant is the fear of rejection. For some, the idea of being disliked or criticized feels intolerable, triggering anxiety and a desperate urge to restore harmony. This fear can be so acute that it overrides even basic self-care, leading people-pleasers to ignore their own needs entirely. There's also the need for validation. Many people-pleasers derive their sense of self-worth from external approval. When someone expresses gratitude or praise, it offers a fleeting sense of value and belonging. Conversely, disapproval can feel like a personal failure, a sign that one is not good enough. The result is a cycle of striving, overextending, and ultimately, emotional exhaustion. Guilt is another powerful driver. People-pleasers often feel responsible for the happiness and well-being of those around them. Saying no or asserting a boundary can trigger intense guilt, as if they are letting others down or failing their responsibilities. This sense of obligation can be deeply ingrained, making it difficult to prioritize their own needs without feeling selfish or unkind. It's important to recognize that people-pleasing isn't always a conscious choice. Many individuals are only dimly aware of the ways in which they suppress their own desires. The behaviors become habitual, almost automatic, reinforced by years of social feedback. When people-pleasers do try to assert themselves, they may feel anxious or even ashamed, further cementing the belief that their own needs are less important than those of others. The consequences of chronic people-pleasing can be significant. Over time, constantly putting others first leads to resentment, burnout, and a diminished sense of self. People-pleasers may struggle to identify what they truly want, having spent so long attuning to the preferences and expectations of those around them. This can erode self-esteem, as individuals come to see themselves as little more than vessels for others' happiness. Relationships can also suffer. Ironically, the effort to maintain harmony can breed misunderstanding and distance. When one person is always accommodating, it becomes difficult for others to know their true feelings or desires. Unspoken resentment can build, erupting in unexpected ways. Furthermore, people-pleasers may attract those who take advantage of their accommodating nature, leading to unhealthy, one-sided dynamics. So, what can be done to break free from the grip of people-pleasing? The first step is awareness. Recognizing the pattern and the fears that underlie it is essential. This often requires honest self-reflection. Do I feel anxious when someone is displeased with me? Do I say yes when I want to say no? Am I afraid of disappointing others? These questions can help illuminate the ways in which people-pleasing manifests in daily life. The next step is learning to tolerate discomfort. For people-pleasers, the prospect of asserting a boundary or declining a request can feel excruciating. But with practice, it becomes possible to weather the discomfort and realize that rejection, while unpleasant, is rarely catastrophic. In fact, asserting oneself can lead to deeper, more authentic relationships, built on mutual respect rather than one-sided accommodation. Building self-esteem from within is also key. When self-worth is no longer contingent on external approval, the need to please diminishes. This may involve challenging negative beliefs about selfishness and learning to value one's own needs and desires. Therapy can be helpful in this process, providing a safe space to explore the origins of people-pleasing and develop healthier patterns of relating. Practicing assertiveness is another vital skill. Assertiveness is not about aggression or dominance, but about expressing one's needs honestly and respectfully. This might mean saying no to requests, expressing a different opinion, or asking for help. Each act of assertiveness is a step toward reclaiming autonomy and self-respect. It's also important to recognize that pleasing others is not inherently bad. Empathy, kindness, and cooperation are vital to healthy relationships and communities. The problem arises when these qualities are taken to an extreme, when pleasing others comes at the expense of one's own well-being. The goal is not to become indifferent or self-centered, but to strike a balance between caring for others and caring for oneself. For those who struggle with people-pleasing, it can be helpful to develop a pause before responding to requests. Instead of automatically saying yes, take a moment to check in with your own needs and feelings. If the request aligns with your values and capacity, by all means, agree. If not, practice declining with kindness and clarity. Ultimately, overcoming the people-pleaser syndrome is about reclaiming your sense of agency. It's about recognizing that your worth is not dependent on others' approval, and that your needs are just as valid as anyone else's. This journey is not always easy. It requires courage, self-compassion, and a willingness to challenge long-held beliefs. But the rewards are profound. Deeper relationships, greater self-respect, and a life lived with authenticity and integrity. In the end, the compulsion to please others is a testament to our deep longing for connection and belonging. But true connection is only possible when we show up as our whole selves, needs, boundaries, and all. By understanding the psychological roots of people-pleasing and taking steps to nurture our own well-being, we can build healthier, more fulfilling relationships with others and with ourselves.